do you want to do a backup recording
I
as
was
well,
just-
or?
I was just
Okay.
gonna ask, would you make a backup recording, please? Or somebody?
I'd be happy to do that unless Mary's gonna do it.
I think you're better versed at doing it. Oh, no, you can't have a co-host do it, I don't think. Because I
Oh,
think the first instance of the recording is managed by the host. So you can make Chris not a co-host, and then he can record independently to the cloud.
okay. All right, you are no longer a co-host.
Okay. I can only record to my own computer. It doesn't allow me to request host to start cloud recording. Is that okay?
Oh, it's only letting you record to your own computer?
Yeah.
Well,
Um,
yeah, it has to be permissioned.
yeah, oh, allowed to, the permission is allowed to record local files, not allowed to record cloud files.
Oh, okay.
So it seems like the default is the cloud.
I think that's fine.
Okay, I'll just do that.
Okay. Allow recording. Okay. I'm drawing a blank. Do I do roll call before or after?
I always did it after. I always read the script first.
Okay, I'm gonna do that then. In accordance with the requirements of the open meeting law, please be advised that this meeting is being audio recorded. The agenda lists all topics which may be discussed at the meeting and are those reasonably anticipated by the chair. Votes may be taken from these discussions. Not all items may be discussed and other items may be raised to the extent permitted by the open meeting law. Please be advised that the town of Lunenburg utilizes Zoom platform as host for its hybrid and remote meetings. That the Zoom platform utilizes AI technology, known as AI Companion, to create audio transcriptions of meetings to aid in the subsequent preparation of meeting minutes. And that AI Companion is activated immediately upon launching the Zoom application. You are hereby notified that this AI technology may capture audio prior to the start of the meeting and or following the conclusion of the meeting. You can join the Zoom meeting at the link on the agenda. One tap. Okay, if you're here, got it. All right, roll call vote. Mary Wilson,
Here.
Mike LaRouche,
Present?
Peter Stella,
Sorry, yes, present.
Richard Bursch,
Here?
Chris St. Germain.
Here.
And present for myself. And Jeff Viviano is not able to be here tonight. Do we have any members of the public who would like to make a public comment? Comments are limited to 3 minutes and on a subject matter under the direct jurisdiction of the commission. Comments about current agenda items are to be made during the comment period of the specific agenda item. Please address all comments to the chair. Do we have any members of the public who want to make a public comment? Not seeing anybody. And we do not have any minutes from previous meetings to approve. So next we have an appointment from the Hickory Hills Landowners Inc. about their yearly flumioxazin spot treatments in Hickory Hills Lake to combat larger fanwort areas. Do we have the representative for the Hickory Hills landowners on the call?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay.
I don't know if there's anybody from the lake here. Heidi, I think, is here.
Okay.
But again, my name is Dominic Maringolo. I'm with Solitude Lake Management. We're here to present this year's fanwort treatment plan for Hickory Hills Lake. So we largely based the plan on the extensive experience in surveying and hand pulling of the members of the lake group from 2024. What they what they do is kind of identify different areas of the lake where the fan water is particularly dense. That would expend a lot of diver hand pulling time if those were to be addressed with the divers. So they kind of slate the more dense areas of fan wart growth for the treatment with the aquatic herbicide Flumigard SC, which is flumioxazin. This is an EPA and state registered aquatic herbicide that does a great job on fan wart. So based on, and we also did a survey on May 1st to examine those particular areas to confirm the fan wart growth. So that was done by Solitude and with members of the lake group there as well. So the plan, and I don't know if you folks have that in front of you or if you'd like me to pull up the map, share my screen. Do you have a preference?
You can share your screen.
Okay.
I did make you a co-host.
Okay, great. Find that bit over here. Okay, so let's see. So this is the plan here. So there are 10 different areas of the lake. The total acreage of the areas is 32 acres. So I'll bring up the map here. So these areas, the numbers here on the areas of the acres of each of these treatment areas. So the total is 32 acres. The treatment again is with flumioxazin herbicide. We do have a permit from DEP as well, an annual permit which provides approval for the use of this herbicide on the lake. Currently planning to conduct the treatment on June 11th. And the treatment will be done with an airboat with a calibrated pump assembly, GPS guidance that will have these areas pre-programmed into the GPS display so that we can make sure that we're applying the proper product to the proper areas of the lake. The staff will be a licensed herbicide applicator. And I think this is kind of the plan that we've been following the last few years, following the whole lake sonar fluridone herbicide a number of years ago. Between the lake folks doing their hand pulling and then identifying areas that are too dense to be hand pulled, we again select those areas for treatment. So you can see the areas that were selected this year. That's kind of the gist of the plan. I did want to mention one other thing. We do have the surveys of the lake that were done last year did identify another new species of invasive aquatic plants in the lake. It's actually in the Little Hickory Hills Lake portion, which is in the top right of the map there. They found European or brittle naiad, Nasus minor, which is another non-native invasive species. So, and it was only found in one location of the Little Hickory Lake portion. So we are planning to also treat that later in the summer with the Dicot herbicide to try to hopefully eradicate that species. I think we caught it very early there. I definitely want to prevent it from getting transferred into the main lake and becoming a larger problem. So that's also in the plan for this year as well. So I'd be happy to go into any more details that you'd like to hear or answer any questions.
Thank you. Are there any questions from members of the commission? Doesn't look like it, and this seems pretty comprehensive. I don't have any questions. Are there? Oh, I'm sorry, Richard. You have a question?
Thank you. Hi, Dominic.
Hi, Richard.
Hey, I was wondering, do you have a schedule for water testing? Don't you have to keep a certain level of flumoxidin in the water column?
No, this is the flumioxazin is a kind of a rapid acting herbicide, so there's really no need to monitor the concentrations like we had to do with the fluridone treatments. So there's no herbicide monitoring required with this approach.
Super. And what is the time frame from application to dead weeds?
2 to 3 weeks or so.
Okay.
Yeah.
And
But
any
it's-
testing afterwards for O2 levels and things like that with the decomposing plant material?
Not on our part. I know the Lake Group has another consultant that does some sampling. I see Heidi has her hand up there too, so I can, if it's okay with the chair, she can probably help with that answer.
Absolutely.
Yes, we will have monthly water testing done through the summer. And that will be every month.
Okay. And you've used this herbicide before in Hickory Hills?
Yes, sir. Yeah, we've been doing it. I think this will be the 3rd or 4th year
Okay.
that we've been selectively treating certain areas of the lake with this herbicide. It's only one of 2 herbicides that really works on fanwort. The first one is fluridone, obviously, which is requires a very long contact time, does not work very well in spot treatment approaches. So although the flumioxazin doesn't provide quite as long-term control as the fluridone does, it does work very quickly. It does work very well with smaller treatment areas. So, and it kind of complements the diver hand harvesting activities that are ongoing too.
Okay. And is there a maximum of the lake surface that you should be treating? Because I believe Hickory Hills is about 300 acres and it looks like you're doing about 10% of that in treatment area.
Yeah, the DEP regulations for flumioxazin don't allow us to treat more than a quarter of the lake's surface area at any one time. So we're well below that. We also, you may remember from past conversations about this herbicide, but also it's not allowed to be used in the same area more than once every 4 years. So we've had to specifically kind of tailor these areas to avoid areas that have been treated with the same product in the last 3 years. So you'll see like some places where we probably would have needed to treat, but we're not allowed to do that. There's a few small areas that we had to cut out because we would not, just to stay compliant with that particular requirement.
Okay. And do you easily available have the last 3 years maps to send to the office for review?
Oh, sure. Yeah. I mean, we certainly can send them in the office. I mean, we submitted obviously the same type of plan every year that we've done this as well. So I'm sure you probably have them in your records, but I'm happy to send those plans to the
If it's okay with the
office.
chairman, I would like to request them. Just unfortunately, our office has been in a bit of disarray over the last couple of years with file storage.
Okay.
And if you have them readily available, just so we have them on file.
You bet. I can do that.
Great. I appreciate that, Dominic. Thank you very much. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Richard. Do we have any more questions from members of the commission? Do we have any questions from members of the public? Like it. Where this is an appointment, we don't vote on this. This is just a informational session. Right?
I believe that's correct.
Okay. Okay, well then, thank you very much, Dominic, for that presentation.
Excellent. I would just to be clear, we have the approval of. I think in past years you may have voted, but I don't want to tell you guys what to do. But just as long as we're good to go with the treatment, I think that's all we need to know.
Madam Chair,
do we-
that's consistent with my recollection as well, as to take a vote to approve the treatment as proposed.
Okay, so I would be looking for a motion to approve treatment scheduled for June 11th for 32 acres of flumioxazin.
So moved, Richard?
Second,
I have the move from Richard and a second from Mary.
very
And
good.
then roll call vote, Mary Wilson,
Aye.
Mike LaRouche,
Aye.
Peter Stella,
Aye.
Richard Birsch,
Aye.
and Chris St. Germain.
Aye.
All right.
Okay,
Motion to approve.
thank you, folks. Have a good evening.
You too.
Appreciate it.
So moving on to new public hearings, we have 417 Howard Street. Pursuant to MGL Chapter 131, Section 40 as amended, and the Town of Lunenburg Wetlands Protection and Municipal Bylaws, a public hearing on a notice of intent by Stephen Lottie for construction of a driveway and associated site work to facilitate the construction of a single-family home on the rear abutting parcel with a buffer zone impact of 57 feet. Do we have the applicant or representative here?
Yeah, Brian Marchetti, McCarty Engineering.
Okay, do you want to, would you like to share your screen or go over the
Sure. Yep.
project? Okay, let me, I'm actually gonna change it so that you can, that everybody can share. Oh, there you go, okay.
All right. So Brian Marchetti here, on behalf of Stephen Lottie, applicant and owner of 417 Howard Street. As you said earlier, we're here to permit the construction of a single-family house. The Lotties own 2 parcels. They approximate 33 acres at that address. Wetlands were delineated by Three Oaks Environmental. And as you see from the plan here, the portion of the property that accesses the larger upland area in the property does pass through buffer zone. So we have, let me zoom in here. You can see the 100-foot buffer is basically right here to the limit of the property line. So in order to fit a driveway through from Howard Street, it's a 16-foot wide driveway. We have a small buffer zone impact just along that shaded section you can see here, just from here to here. So in order to access it, we're back about, driveway's about 500 feet long. We come back to the proposed house location. The house will be served by a septic system and a proposed well. All those impacts are outside of the buffer zone. There's electric utility poles within Howard Street. We'll come off Howard Street to the property overhead to a utility pole here. So we're back here on the property, and then it'll be continued underground from there up to the house. So we proposed here for erosion controls. You can see the dash line here, all in the vicinity of the buffer zone. A row of hay bale and silt fence. And even though it's single family and it's less than an acre of impact, we don't meet the requirements of the Lunenburg Stormwater Bylaw, and per Mass DEP stormwater standards, we don't need to meet the stormwater standards for single family development. So we haven't designed a full drainage system to comply. But we did propose a piece stone diaphragm along that western portion of the driveway, which you see here. It's a 3-foot wide trench, which will be full of crushed stone and will be lined with filter fabric so that the top layer of stone can be maintained and cleaned out on a periodic basis. DEP did issue a file number, and they had one comment that just recommended to the commission that you consider potentially having a long-term operation maintenance plan for just that portion to be kept on record. I did put one together just in case you wanted that. It's a very simple O&M plan. Maintenance of a pea stone diaphragm is really just cleaning off the top couple inches of the stone when the stone gets choked with sand, salt, debris, leafy debris from the normal fall and spring activities and sanding activities over the winter for the driveway. So I think that basically sums up the development. Again, there's no impact within the 50-foot no structure zone. It's all 100-foot buffer zone impact only for a proposed driveway. Again, because it is single family residential, it is exempt from the Massachusetts Stormwater Management Standards and the town of Lunenburg's stormwater bylaw because it's less than an acre of impact. So if you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them for you.
Okay, so I went out and walked the site with a couple of commissioners this weekend, and I found the wetland flagging to be a little bit confusing. And I also so the wetland flags were pink, and then there was pink flags kind of everywhere along the other side of what I imagine is what's going to be the driveway. And I was trying to figure out, are those supposed to be property lines or?
Yeah, those are a survey. There were other pink flags.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
there's pink flags near the iron pole, and then there was pink flags just kind of everywhere else.
That's surveying to traverse for the surveyors because it's a 33-acre parcel. They have to move their monumentation and their transit multiple times. So, wetland flag wise, it was only here at the corner, here behind the existing residence here at 473. So this is the only flagging that was wetland related. The rest of the flagging on the property, if they didn't have wetland flag numbers on them, was all just survey traverse and property boundary markers. And then we did have them go out again to locate the septic system location because we were doing septic testing out there. So there were probably stakes that were banged in the ground right about in this location where testing was done recently.
In which location?
Right here, where it says proposed SAS, the
Okay.
soil absorption system. So that would be out behind where the house would be, which again is probably 100 feet outside of the 100-foot buffer zone.
Okay. Do we have any questions from members of the commission?
Jenny, besides the flagging, did you have any other observations when you did the site walk?
Not really. Again, I found the flagging confusing because there was pink flags for everything. But the plan seemed pretty straightforward except for the flagging. So I guess my observation would be that the flagging, I don't know, I think that might be looking for a peer review on that flagging just because I couldn't really tell if it was done properly. Mary, you have something to?
Well, I was going to ask if you saw any blue flags.
I didn't see any blue flags.
And I didn't have the benefit of going out with you this weekend, but in reading the delineation report, I did notice that it was done in the wintertime. And I
Right.
walk in that area a lot, not that particular parcel, but the conservation land behind that parcel and then across the road on the conservation land, there's a lot of wetland structures around. I would want to make certain the delineation is accurate. That would be my concern. And if you didn't see blue flags, I think at the very least they need to be reset so that we can find them and confirm.
I agree.
I mean, the flags are all there and they are not blue flags. The wetland delineation report clearly states that the flags are pink flags. And then the new flags that were set by Three Oaks were 3 pink flags, wetland flag 1, 2, and 3. And then downhill of those 3 flags, which if you look here at the plan, at this corner, 1, 2, and 3 were right here. There was a previous set of blue flags that were set that were consistent with the edge of wetland that Mary Ann did not reflag, but we picked them all up as, she verified that they were still active and still relevant. So these were the only other flags, and it continued in a westerly direction here. If you look at the site here, the house is located higher up on the hill. And the wetlands are all down here, closer to the lot line. Down gradient of the development.
So I didn't see the pink flags, the blue flags. Mary, did you have something you wanted to?
Oh, I was just gonna ask if the house has been staked or anything. So if we went back out there, will we have the ability of determining where the house is relative to where we observed potential wetlands to be?
The house isn't staked, but like I said, the 4 corners of this septic testing here, which is south of where the house is going and downhill of where the house is going, was staked.
Pete or Mike, did you notice any blue flags while we were out there?
This is Mike. I thought there were a couple of blue flags mixed in with the pink flags.
No, it's possible I missed them somehow. Pete, did you see any?
Sorry about that. I keep on forgetting that. They had a little unmute icon. Anyway, just stupid. Clicking on
All
the
right.
spot on my screen. No, I didn't notice any particular. I think the other side I noticed blue flags that we looked at afterward. I think they were all pink or maybe orangish.
All of the ones that I observed were pink, but okay.
So right here, there's wetland flag 1, wetland flag 2, and wetland flag 3 are the pink flags.
Which I did see.
And wetland flag right here, just west of that is 13, 14. It continues up in a westerly direction. And that's all of these were existing blue flags that are out in the field that go, again, in a westerly direction and off the property.
And those were from a previous delineation.
Yes, but like I said, Mary Ann reviewed them, saw them, and we picked them all up because they were still relevant.
And I can't remember. Did it say when that delineation occurred?
No. There wasn't a previous delineation by us. It was the previous property owner.
Okay. Yeah, I think I would be looking for a peer review for this, or at least, I mean, it was done in the winter and a previous delineation that we don't know when it was done. Does anyone have anything that they'd like to, Mike? No. Does anyone have any thoughts on it? Mary?
Madam Chair, I'm reluctant to move forward with something where at least our commission, no member of our commission is confident that they know exactly where the wetland is. It doesn't have to be me walking out on the site. If we had an administrator who walked out on the site and said, oh yeah, this drawing makes sense to me, right? And I see the flags and I agree they're, are reasonable, then that would be one thing. But if we right now today are unclear and not confident where the wetland is, I think that we either need to, see if our interim administrator can get out there and make certain that the flags, for me is one vote, right? I would want to make certain that the flagging makes sense. Because if we vote to approve this, then those are the only wetlands on this site for the next 3 years, regardless of how much water is pouring out of that hillside.
Okay. I think that's reasonable. Does anyone else have anything to add to that?
Madam Chair?
Yep.
It does seem to have like, to have different color flags. I know we were looking for the ones we thought we were looking for around that post, that metal post. But did we mention that there were the blue flags? Was I seeing things, or are those on the site that we were not particularly looking at? There were some blue flags on the left.
So there were definitely blue flags at the other site that we went to.
Okay, all right. So I wasn't seeing,
Blue flags.
I was not seeing flags that weren't there.
No,
They were
and it's
just-
possible that you saw them and I missed them.
Okay.
Sure.
But I agree with Mary that there seems to be some discussion about where those pink flags are, and to designate where the site was. And did we notice any numbers on any of those flags?
No, because it was just the 3. So
Just the-
we didn't look at them because they were exactly, those 3 were right around that iron pipe. One of the issues here though is that I don't know how the delineator could have said for sure that the other flags make sense if it's winter. It was February, if I remember correctly. I definitely think that we need to have somebody else look at it. But it's possible that the blue flags were there, but still it was February. I think it would be good to have Harlan go out there and take a look.
Can we try to set up a time with Harlan so we can go out with Harlan and with Three Oaks Environmental so we can all be on the same page before the next meeting?
Yeah, you can send an email and I'll let Harlan know. Or we could have her reach out to you,
Yeah.
to the office. And
Alright.
she's in 10 hours a week right now, but she's prioritizing, doing site walks.
What are her office hours? Do you know what days, what times?
I believe she's in Tuesday and Thursday. But she does respond to emails too. Pretty quickly. Oh, Chris, you have your hand raised?
Yeah, just, I might be available, so if we can copy the commissioners on that,
Yeah.
I'll try to make that visit as well.
Okay. Do we have any more questions from the commission? Do we have any questions from members of the public?
I actually have one thing to say. I don't really think there's a real need to make a big deal out of this. I don't, limited time and experience with the Wetland Protections Act and the specifics of the Massachusetts Wetland Protections Act, but I don't think there's an issue here unless the driveway is somehow in the 30-foot buffer. Within the 30-foot no touch, which I mean, I don't see it. It's a 50, you got 20 feet between the two lines here. You're asking for us probably more than that to where the edge of the driveway is.
So, I mean, the driveway is part of it is in the 100-foot. But
yeah, it's in the 100-foot buffer,
delineation-
but that's I don't think, you were holding up this guy to get his project rolling down the road. And the purpose
I'm gonna
of,
finish
these
my
acts,
sentence.
it's just not there. I think it's
Yeah.
it's one of the reasons why
Okay.
once I know more, I might protest much more firmly based upon my knowledge of the actual act. And I realize Massachusetts is a state where this seems to propagate everywhere. Nobody can get anything done. I deal with it every day.
Okay, Pete. So, but if the question is the delineation,
Well, the
then we
delineation, how
don't-
much
wait, hold
delineation
on,
do you want?
I'm
You're
gonna
gonna have to
finish my
delineate like
sentence.
40
Peter.
feet to get within
Pete,
the no touch.
I'd like to finish my sentence. You asked a question, I'd like to respond to it. So if the delineation is in question, then we don't actually know what the resource area is. And right now we know that part of the driveway is in the buffer zone. But if the delineation is incorrect, then that could change. And if the delineation is in question, then we don't actually know what the buffer zone is. Does that make sense?
Yeah, but I don't think it's necessary to go to that extreme to waste time and, money, frankly. And, it doesn't just involve 3 or 4 people.
Okay. Chris, you have your hand up?
Yeah, Pete, I think we're setting a precedence. If we're saying, well, it's kind of there, you're right. It could be a good distance, but if we start setting a precedence where we're not quite sure, if we're all sitting there not absolutely sure what these flags are, it's setting a bad precedence going forward. I just think that we're just doing our due diligence.
Thank you, Chris. Richard, you have your hand up?
Yeah, I was just going to add to what Chris said. So the area of regulation is the 100-foot buffer. So we clearly are already in the 100-foot buffer. The basis of our decisions are the wetland determination line, which is the edge of wet. That is clearly in question. They're supposed to offer us how the delineation was done, when the delineation was done. In viewing the pictures from Three Oaks, it was done with snow on the ground, which if you're using the plant delineation technique, at least 50% of the plant material has to be of wet variety. A lot of that is ground cover type plants that you can't really tell in a snow covered area. So, it is the burden of the applicant to show with a preponderance of evidence where the wetland delineation is. Clearly, a majority of the commissioners don't feel that burden has been met. So I myself feel strongly that we should continue. We should ask for continuation and go out on site with our agent to take a look at the wetland delineation with the vegetation present so that we can make determinations. Three Oaks had the opportunity to do it with soil borings, but they did not choose to do that. So it really doesn't leave us with a clear determination of where the wetland delineation is. So those are my feelings, but without having the firm delineation, we can't make any decisions moving forward. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Richard. Did we have any other commissioner comments? Do we have any comments from members of the public?
This is buddy. I'm the landowner. Just one comment. I'd appreciate if you could do this quickly. We already did miss. We did miss the original window of being having this meeting within 21 days of our submission. So we just appreciate an expeditious review. Happy to a peer review if you want it. But if we could get that done before the next meeting, it would be appreciated.
Yeah, if I could, I would like to add to Steve's comment. I know there's been a little bit of dysfunction in the office as of late, but we did file this back the second or so week in April. We were supposed to be on the agenda, or we're told we were going to be on the agenda for the last meeting, but we weren't put on the agenda. So we're already another 2 weeks behind, and the applicant is just waiting for this permit so we can get his driveway permit to start work out there. So every couple of weeks is a couple of weeks lost. So if we'll do whatever the commission wants. If we can go out there with Mary Ann and the agent, walk it, come to an agreement, I would love for us to be able to come to the next meeting with as much of the final documentation as possible and, perhaps try to have an order ready as soon as possible, after the next meeting, even at the next meeting if possible, since this is a buffer zone only impact and we are pretty confident in the wetland lines as they are. It is a pretty minor intrusion into the buffer zone and should be an easy one to put an order together for. I'd like to get this thing done, finalized, and recorded so the Lotties can start building their house.
Yeah, so definitely reach out to the interim administrator, Herlin, and see when she will be able to get out there with you. Mary, you had something to
Oh
add?
yeah, to Brian's point about wanting to expedite this. I mean, in terms of looking at, I don't have a lot of concerns about the rest of the project. As one commissioner would be interested in having that perpetual condition for the O&M plan, even though it's pretty straightforward and simple. But it sounds like Brian already has that ready to go. So that's, yeah, I just want to make certain the wetland is delineated and that the commission can have confidence that that's done appropriately so that we're very clear on what portions of the buffer zone are this driveway is intruding on. But otherwise, I don't have any other concerns about the project.
Okay, thank you for that. Right, so I think at this point, I'd be looking for a motion to continue and looking for the interim administrator to be able to go out with the applicant and walk the site. And then also provide that O&M plan that you made up, looking for the next meeting. So, all right, looking for a motion to continue.
So moved. Mike?
Second,
All right, I have the move from Mike and a second from Mary.
and
Roll
the
call.
date of Jenny
Oh.
that we're continuing to is Let's just-
June 3rd, I believe.
4th.
4th, okay.
okay.
June 4th. Okay, so roll call vote. Mary Wilson,
Aye.
Mike LaRouche,
Aye.
Peter Stella,
Negative.
Richard Bursch,
And
and Chris St. Germain.
Aye.
And then I for myself. Okay, so the ayes have it, continue to June 4th. And then I'll email Herlin and let her know that you guys will be reaching out.
All right.
All right,
Now,
thank
are
you.
we contacting her through the Lunenburg? Is there a Lunenburg email address for her? or
Yeah,
just
so
go through
that's-
Pittsburgh?
LCC@lunenburgmass.gov,
Okay.
lunenburgma.gov.
Madam Chair, it might be appropriate for him to also have her direct, because she has a Lunenburg mail address
Oh,
as
she
well.
does, that's right. I
Yeah,
think she is. I don't want to give it to you wrong, so let me look it up. I believe it is H Jamie at Lunenburg, Mass, but let me just make sure. Yep, H Jamie, JAMIE at lunenburgma.gov.
Okay. All right, I'll contact her tomorrow.
All right, thanks so much.
All right, thank you.
Okay, moving on to continued public hearings. We have 390 Howard Street for an ANRAD pursuant to MGL Chapter 131, Section 40, as amended in the Town of Lunenburg Wetlands Protection and Municipal Bylaws. A public hearing on the abbreviated notice of resource area delineation by Kevin O'Brien at 390 Howard Street. Do we have the applicant or anyone representing the applicant on the meeting tonight? And it does not appear that there is anyone on for this application. Mary?
do you know if we have gotten if the office has gotten the updated plans and or the peer reviewers approval letter yet?
I checked I checked with Herlin when I met with her, and she wasn't aware of anything new on this, and I did check the SharePoint. I didn't see anything new in there, looking for that address. So I haven't seen anything come across.
Okay. I also had looked and didn't see anything either. But I'm anxious about this one.
Yeah, we're cutting it close,
Well, and we wouldn't have a quorum tonight because Jeff's not here.
right?
But I think we need to seriously consider contacting the applicant and asking them to re-notify this and then reintroduce it.
Okay.
The challenge is that I don't think it would make sense to reintroduce it until you have, your new panel of commissioners assembled.
Right. Okay, yeah, I'll have to have Harlan reach out to them. Go from there.
It's probably useful to have Hurley also reach out. I mean, as an interim to just double check that they haven't sent those drawings over to, just to make
Right.
certain we aren't missing anything and losing jurisdiction as a result.
Right. Okay, I'm gonna have her check the folders. I do think that she did check when I brought it up to her, and I know that you had spoken to her too, so I told her that there may be something, so hopefully she looked. I'm pretty sure she did, but I will just check in with her.
Madam Chair?
Yep.
Can you clarify what you mean by we don't have a quorum? Are you just mean we're missing Jeff because we have more than 4 people here? So,
A quorum, so it's a quorum for that one. That started before I was on the commission,
okay,
so.
Yeah.
okay.
It was, I think, introduced the first hearing, if I recall correctly, was October of 2023.
Oh, so it's the people that were on there. The quorum for that one is who was on there at the time. I understand now. Thank you for clearing
Yeah.
that.
So I opened it, so we have to do a motion to continue to June 4th, and then,
So moved.
Second,
move from Chris and second from Mary. Roll call vote, Mary Wilson,
aye.
Mike LaRouche,
Aye.
Peter Stella,
Aye.
Richard Bursch,
Aye.
Chris St. Germain.
Aye.
Can continue to the next meeting of June 4th. All right, so our next hearing is 31 Round Road pursuant to MGL Chapter 131, Section 40, as amended in the Town of Lunenburg Wetlands Protection and Municipal Bylaws. A public hearing on a notice of intent by Sean Farrow for the construction of 2 landscape replacement walls, placement of 2 removable docks, and replenishment of beach sand within the 100-foot, 50-foot, and 30-foot buffer zone of a wetland resource area on Lake Shirley. Do we have the applicant or someone representing them here
Madam
tonight?
Chair,
Yep.
I thought I had seen an email from the consultant to delay this one to June 4th. I was just trying to look that up while you were reading it in.
Okay, I don't see it indicated on the agenda. I don't recall that, but that doesn't mean it didn't happen.
So yesterday I saw an email. Oh, it doesn't look like you were copied on it. So Matt may not realize that I'm no longer the chair, but Matt had an email to Logan yesterday asking to continue to the first June meeting.
Okay.
Because he has had he needed to get some drawing content updated, and he had to find another engineering firm to do that because his first one had some type of medical issue, I think.
Okay. All right.
I'll
so
forward this to you. Apologies. I'm not noticing that.
Okay, at least I know I'm not missing that. I didn't miss it, so that's good. Okay, so motion to continue to 6-4.
So moved.
Second,
All right, first from Mike and second from Chris. Roll call vote, Mary? Wilson?
Aye.
Mike LaRouche?
Aye.
Peter Stella?
Aye.
Richard Bursch?
Aye.
Chris St. Germain?
aye.
Okay, continue to June 4th. All right, next hearing is 221 Electric Ave. Pursuant to MGL Chapter 131, Section 40, as amended in the Town of Lunenburg Wetlands Protection and Municipal Bylaws. A public hearing on a notice of intent by Daniel Sheehan of Haley Ward Construction for construction of a 2-family dwelling and rain garden within the 100-foot buffer zone of a bordering vegetated wetland located at 221 Electric Ave. We have a representative on the call, or the applicant.
Yep.
I see. Yep.
Yep, I'm the representative, Dan
okay.
Shane with Haley Ward. So as you guys may know, I'm just going to share my screen here just to kind of go over a little bit. It's been a while since I've talked about this one.
Yep.
Yeah. Beautiful. So again, looking at 221 here, the real purpose of this is I really don't have too much new information to kind of share, but the real purpose of me being here tonight was to discuss the best option to kind of reflag the 200 series here. I normally wouldn't bring this to the commission. I tried to figure this out with the agent, but where Sophie was involved at the start of this and has kind of been MIA for lack of a better term. I tried contacting Jenny and she had recommended I show up here tonight to kind of at least discuss all the findings at this point. So Jenny, if I'm misquoting you, please feel free to correct me.
No, that's good.
Okay, perfect. So the biggest thing here is, as was seen from Sophie's site visit report, the 200 series wasn't flagged. So she wasn't able to kind of verify the locations of that, rightfully so. I went out to the site recently and I did not see them myself either. We do have the original, I guess, coordinate data when this is originally delineated. So that what I was suggesting was maybe sending out a survey crew to kind of, I guess, for lack of a better term, do like a construction stakeout to rehang those flags. In the discussion of this, we also talked about missing a wetland delineation report. So unfortunately, I have kind of acquired this project from other engineers who no longer work here. And going through some of the notes, I wasn't able to kind of come across any physical report for the wetland delineation. It's my understanding that this was done utilizing the Mass bordering vegetated wetland handbook, for lack of a better term there. I'm not sure on all those jurisdictions, if you will, just because civil, not really environmental. So I apologize if I misquoted one of those. Or I guess the other option that I kind of see is it could be a order of conditions to not verify the 200 series. The way I kind of see this, again, this is just my opinion. Feel very confident in the wetland delineation. A lot of this stuff here does seem to be very topography driven more so than anything. And more importantly, the 200 series is on the other side. So even if this flag wasn't even shown on the plans or something of that nature, it wouldn't really have any real impact to the project. But again, with the lack of a wetland delineation report, I'm comfortable with whatever you guys want to do. If it makes sense to have someone else go out there and have it redelineated, we could do that very much. We would probably use Matt Moreau or Marianne DePinto with Three Oaks as well. But that's kind of all the information I have tonight, hoping to get some guidance on kind of the best way to proceed for this.
Okay, thank you. I just wasn't, where we don't have a delineation report and the flags aren't there at all, I definitely didn't want to make a decision to say, just have a survey crew do it, and that we didn't have a administrator to talk to about this. So I wanted to see if the commission had any thoughts on which way to go, if it would be okay to have a survey crew do it, or if we would like to see an actual delineation report. Does anybody have any comments on that? Mary?
Thank you, Madam Chair. And I don't profess to be any type of expert in this, but my understanding from the commissioner classes is that if we accept this with the wetland delineation as it stands, then that is the wetland delineation for the next 3 years, and there's no means to change that. So if they come back at some point in time and do something else, in an area that they really shouldn't be doing it in because the wetland delineation is incorrect, so like they wanted to build a shed over there or something, we would not have any way to protect our jurisdiction. That's my understanding from the coursework I've done.
Thank you.
So I would want to see the delineation report.
Thank you so much. Richard, you have your hand up.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I would concur with Mary. I'd like to see the delineation report on the 200 series flags going forward. I would recommend just remove them from the plan. Unless you want to delineate that side, depending on what the report says. They don't seem to have any bearing on the project, and there's no reason to really have them. And like Mary said, if we do approve it, we've approved that wetland boundary on that side. Thank you.
Thank you, Richard. Chris?
Yes, my question is for education purposes only. So if we had the delineation report and we had this line, would we accept a survey crew to reflag that with the report? Would that be acceptable? I'm just curious.
So I spoke to our interim commissioner and she said that if she had the delineation report, then she would be comfortable with the survey crew.
Okay.
But where there is no delineation report,
Yeah.
that she didn't think that it was a good idea, but she wasn't really familiar with the property, so, and Sophie was the one who had noticed that those flags were missing.
Thank you.
Richard?
Yeah, thank you. Had Sophie made any comments on the 100 series flags or the other flags in the little finger?
She did, I think that I'm gonna look it up, but she did not, if I recall correctly, have any issue with the other flags. Her only comment was that I think 206 through 210 were missing, but let me. Sophie's comments was unable to locate flags series 200, 206 through 210 on east side of wetlands. And that was her only comments. No. Yeah, so her overall result was partial pass, and those were her only notes. And she had some pictures. So by deduction, that she didn't point out any other issues with other flags, I would think that she accepted the rest of the delineation. I don't know what she was using to reference a report other than the plan. If we don't have a delineation report. So I thought that maybe the delineation report might have been in another property associated with this property, but I couldn't find it in any of the other properties that were associated with this property.
No, and just full transparency, no wetland delineation report was submitted.
Okay.
So just to make sure I'm clear, and I just want to make sure, I fully understand what's going on. So would you, because this is lacking the wetland delineation report, completely understand where you guys are coming from. Does it make sense to have the 100 series, I guess, be redelineated, for lack of a better term, and just to have the report associated with that, and then perhaps just not even include the 200 series where that's in question?
Mary?
Madam Chair, if I may ask a question of Rich through you?
Absolutely.
If the applicant removed the 200 series, does that seem like more could we proceed with this? I mean, I walked the site and I thought the flags that I could see made sense. I didn't go all the way down into the gully and look for the 200 series like Sophie had done. But I didn't, you know, for the areas I walked and I observed, I didn't see anything that looked, you know, grossly irregular, in my opinion.
Yeah,
Okay,
if you were
but-
happy with the flagging that was present, Mary, then just remove, and the 200 were the only ones that you were questioning. Just remove the 200 series flags, because again, they have no bearing on the buffer zone. It's not gonna move it.
okay, so I think I'd be, oh, do you have any other questions? And I don't think we have any members of the public on anymore, do we? Do you have any questions for members of the public? So I think that I would be looking for a motion to approve with the condition that
think the
this.
draw-
Oh,
Apologies, I'm not the chair anymore.
I was gonna say with the condition that the drawing be updated to remove the 200 series flag, or would we be looking to continue and then approve the drawing? Chris,
If the 200-foot flags are irrelevant, can we just, I think we can just vote if it doesn't matter, right? It's an irrelevant measurement.
right, but we would just be asking them to remove the flags from the drawing
Okay,
before, right? Mary?
For one, I'm only one vote. I would want them removed before I approved, and I would want to make certain that the updated drawing with the removed flags have been sent to DEP, because they will record the delineation. And we would want to make certain that the missing flags that we can't verify aren't part of what they're recording.
Okay. Does anyone else have any thing that they'd like to add to that? Okay, so I think I'm gonna do a quick poll and see where we're heading. Would we be looking for a motion to continue and then have the drawing? Can I have the applicant come back with the drawing without the 200 series wetlands flags on it so that we could approve it then? Pete, what do you think about that?
I'd go along with that.
Okay. And Mike?
As would I, Madam Chair. Are we still looking for a delineation report?
No, so we would be asking them to remove the flags
So
and
we-
come back so that we
Okay.
could do the plan and
Okay.
and approve it and send it to the DEP.
That sounds
Mary?
reasonable to me.
Madam Chair,
Roseanne.
I would be looking for them to update the drawing to remove the 200 series, and I would not be looking for a delineation report because of that. Everything I saw on the proposed housing side of the wetland made sense to me. And then further, because I went back and looked at the DP notes, and I don't want the applicant to come back to us and then us have another list of things. I also would be looking for the O&M plan as a perpetual condition for the project as well. That was one of DEP's recommendations.
And I know that there was an O&M plan. Yeah, and they did add it to this
Has it been added to OpenGov?
21.
Yes.
So
And
there was
Oh.
one for 213 that was not in 221, but now there's one specifically for 221 in OpenGov.
yeah, and
What's
if
it
I'm
called? I was
I'm-
just looking there and I overlooked it.
And if I may, I remember previously too, when we were talking to Sophie, because we originally had one O&M plan for both. We called it 213 because that was the name of the project as a whole, but she specifically requested things be relabeled to 221 just to have that clear distinctions. So those should all be in OpenGo. And if not, I can make sure they're uploaded.
It is
Uh,
here.
Perfect.
Is it? Okay, I just
Page
overlooked
21
it.
is-
Apologies.
And I think, yeah, 213 was there. I'll take a look. But yeah, that's a good recommendation, Mary. Chris, what are you thinking?
Yeah, I'm amenable to that suggestion. I agree.
Okay. And then Richard.
Yep. Yeah, I'm on board with that.
Okay, so motion, I'm looking for a motion to continue to June 4th. Would that work for you? Dan?
Yeah, absolutely. I have no objection.
Okay, so motion to continue to June 4th, asking the applicant to come back with an updated drawing that does not include the 200 series flags, and we're not looking for a delineation report. So do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second,
And roll call vote, Mary Wilson?
aye.
Mike LaRouche?
Aye.
Peter Stella?
Aye.
Richard Bursch?
All right.
And Chris St. Germain?
Aye.
And I for myself. Okay, continue to June 4th.
Great. Thank you guys very much. Have a good rest of the night.
You too, thanks. So the next up is administrative determinations. And this is for 5 Electric Ave. Do we have the applicant or we have one other person left? And that is
Wait.
Kim.
Yes,
Are you 5 Electric Ave?
yes, I am.
Yep, and then this is for a deck on a restaurant.
Yes, patio, stone patio and wall, 18 by 50 proposed.
Do you have anything that you'd like to share? Do your screen share?
I'm not sure. Did somebody come and take a look at the site? I spoke to Logan this morning and he said somebody already looked at the site. It's pretty straightforward. We currently have those landscape, I mean, it's the stones, right, Kenny? It's
Yeah,
on
there's
there.
already some stones there.
Stones are there. We're just gonna use pavers instead. Wouldn't affect any other areas, just what we have so far. We just use the different, I think, material and the walls and put some ceilings out there.
Okay, so I know we have some pictures that you had a diagram that you had
Yes.
created. Do you want to share your screen and show us that? Or
It's the same. I think it's the same. Did we submit this plan?
Yep.
I think we submitted, yeah. I think you have everything that we have. So
we
far.
do.
Yeah.
Does
And I
somebody
sent
want
a
to
couple
share?
pictures. Did somebody come down this morning? Because I talked to Logan and he said somebody will check out the patio area this morning.
So in the workflow, I do
Yeah.
see that Herlin was planning on visiting. It doesn't say when.
Okay.
And she had asked if it was on today's agenda, but I don't see any notes of an inspection report.
Okay.
So it does not look like she's made it out there yet.
Okay.
But we could take a quick look at your plan and see if
Mhm.
anybody wants to make any comments now, so that you have an idea of anything that we might be looking for.
All right. Thank you.
Does somebody else want to share the plan, or would you like me to do it? I can do it.
I can
Yeah.
do it, Jenny.
Okay, thank you. So there's the diagram from, it looks like Clodier?
Cloutier,
Company?
yep. Cloutier Companies.
You have sharing capabilities, right, Rich?
Yep.
Okay, there we go.
And there it
So,
is.
do you want to talk us through this at all, or?
Can you want to say, tell them what?
Yeah, so if you're looking at Kim and Brian's building from the front, on the left-hand side, we're proposing a 18 by 58 patio, and it's going to have probably about a 2-foot high wall all the way around it, so it's secluded from people to come in. It will have a gate for emergency exit. We're going to cut a door inside the restaurant to go out to the patio for, for up to 24 seating, when it removes some of the seating while that patio is in use in the summertime from the VIP room, and then vice versa in the winter. So it shouldn't really impact any of the seating on the inside. And it does conform to all codes. We did have Jay Ferrara go through all that, and they did put that on a set of prints. You guys should have that. It should be on one of those editions. Obviously, emergency exit, emergency lighting will be intact, and do a little bit of soft lighting underneath some of the, yeah, exactly, underneath some of that stone, just to give a little bit of ambiance, but there will be no like direct lights into street or the woods or anything like that. It'll be handicap access in the front where that gate is as well, but you will have to go technically through the front doors of the restaurant to get out to the patio. So there'll be no entrance from the driveway to the patio. That gate will be a one-way exit door only.
Okay, so it looks like the restaurant itself is in the 100-foot buffer and then very close to the 50-foot buffer. And then behind is the 30-foot. So the patio, it looks like it would be entirely between the 100-foot and the 50-foot almost. And is there anything existing there right now?
There's actually almost the same outline as that is in stone. See that stone, all that brown stone? It's almost that same exact. Oh, that's a nice picture. It's almost that same exact outline.
Okay, so you're looking to have it stay in an existing footprint.
Existing footprint, yeah, but obviously with hardscape to make it nice for, for ease for people to walk, put tables and chairs. Obviously waitress and waiters to go out there and be able to walk correctly.
Okay, does any commissioners have any questions about this?
Yeah, Madam Chair, I was just questioning why this wasn't an RDA. A wetland filing rather than a determination. Because we are converting just a stone landscaped area that's permeable into looks like about 1,000 square foot patio and wall structures. There is going to have to be grading and site work involved. So I guess I was just questioning why it wasn't an RDA.
Yeah, that's a good question. I think it would be very reasonable to ask for this to be an RDA. Does anyone else have any questions? So, an RDA, do you know what that is?
I
Kim?
do. No,
Okay,
Because when we
so,
the kitchen addition, we use the determination. That's why. Yeah.
okay. So, yeah, it looks like this would be outside of the scope of a administrative determination. And we'd be looking for, I think Richard, myself, we can get how the commission is thinking about that, but we might be looking for an RDA. Should we do a vote on that, Richard? Or is that?
What's RDA? Oh.
I suppose we could vote that this is not covered under determination, administrative determination, and just deny the administrative determination and request a RDA filing.
Okay, or would it just make sense to request an RDA?
Conservation.
Yeah, either way,
Okay.
however you feel more comfortable, Madam Chair.
I think I'd be comfortable just requesting that they file it as an RDA, unless anybody has any objections to that. Does anyone have any objections?
No.
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 Yeah, so if you could file as an RDA, you know how to do that on OpenGov?
I
If you
do
go to-
not.
Okay, so if you go to OpenGov, which is where the administrative determination was filed, I don't know if you guys did that on your own, but there's also an option to file for an RDA.
Okay.
RDA. What's it stand for? RDA.
A request for determination of applicability.
Oh, okay, requested, okay. All right, so is it like a different application? Like a
Yeah.
separate- Okay. All right, and then what do you need for that? Like any, besides the plans and what you have so far, is there anything else that you need?
So the application will actually guide you through
Okay.
what's needed. And then the interim administrator will help you make sure that you get your whole packet together. And that she has everything that you need and she'll
I see.
go out and do a site visit.
No, I think it's on the application, just like how you apply for a permit.
Okay.
I think
Mary?
that it's on the website, right? It's open here. Let me see. I don't remember. It's whatever, however you apply for the building permit. The same website,
That's exactly it. It's that site.
same site, but
Oh, same
go-
site, okay.
Same site, but you apply for something different, right?
Yeah, so it's the lunenburgma.portal.opengov.com. So if you're at that site, that's the right site.
And then which one do you click, or the account? RDA, then do you type it in RDA? Does that?
So Mary, did you have something you wanted to say?
I just wanted to say that I agree with what you're doing and what Rich had recommended, because while you guys were talking, I looked up the local regulation, and administrative determination only allows for top dressing of loam, plantings, fence repair, new wells over 50 feet, septic test holes, removal of dead trees, and limbing of trees to ensure the crown remains. So this particular type of project is not applicable for an administrator's determination per our town bylaws.
Okay, so we go there. Okay, yeah, we'll figure it out, way to get the.
Okay, it should be in
application.
there. Okay.
As it should be Nuremberg Conservation, and then, okay, we'll figure it out. Thank you so much. We'll do
Yeah.
that.
Right up here on the screen, lunenburgma.portal.opengov.com.
Yes. And then you can see you have the Conservation Commission, you click in there and you'll find the different types of applications.
Oh,
And there it is right there.
Oh, go into the,
Request approval.
okay, I see that. Okay, so, okay, perfect.
all right, okay, thank you.
Excellent. Thank
All
you
right,
guys.
thanks so much.
Yeah.
Have
Have a good night.
You all as well. Thanks so much.
Okay, so.
Okay, so the next thing is enforcements. 10 Mass Ave, I believe. That one, there was an update that they are working with. Let me look this up. If anyone knows this.
They were working with Dillis and Roy, and I know Greg
Yes.
Roy a couple of times when he's been in with us, but not recently, has said that they haven't gotten around to working with it. Hopefully they've made more progress.
So I know that Greg had sent something asking, I'm almost positive it was this one, for about 4 weeks. And I'm not sure, I want to remind myself when that was. Ask Carolyn to follow up on this one. If we're outside of that time frame. Yeah, I'm just gonna follow up with Carolyn on that one. And then 1168 Mass Ave rear.
Madam Chair?
Yep.
We have not heard from them since they originally showed up to discuss this with us. And as I recall, they were going to hire a consultant to put together a farm plan. I think it's appropriate to ask them for an update on that.
Yep.
Maybe Herlin can talk to Brian about it while they're talking about that other project on Howard Street.
Okay. Writing down notes. And then,
But I would say too that they the commission needs to consider putting some time constraints on that one if there has been no progress made, because there was a lot of extensive work done there. That looks like it was altering wetlands.
40 Fire Road 12, the property owner at 40 Fire Road 12 did send some pictures that showing that a lot of it was removed. A lot of the materials that were there were removed. But I actually drove by that night and there was still some debris there. And we're still waiting for the DPW to put down stones. I asked Bill when the stones would go down and he said sometime toward the end of the month. So we should be getting to that point pretty soon. But there's still a little bit of debris there and I need to ask the applicant to remove the rest of the debris. And then
Madam Chair,
yes.
I just wanted to say that I was able to get through the Lunenburg free website. What is it called? Buy Nothing website. Some steel T-posts that we could also put in that area to mark the 30-foot buffer zone as well. If the commission wants to do that.
Yeah, and then Sophie has a sign. I mean, there's a sign in the office that we could use for that. Okay, that sounds good to me. Does anyone have any comments on that?
I'm in favor.
Me too.
Awesome. So 950 Chase Road. Is that what?
That should be removed.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, gonna have that removed. Whittling down the list. 390 Howard Street is 390 Howard Street. 48 Meadow Lane.
Madam Chair?
Yeah.
Just before you go past 390 Howard Street, I wondered if
Yes.
that might be one we could ask for Herlin's assistance on, just to take advantage of her expertise in getting that. This is different than the ANRAD, right? The continued hearings are the ANRAD proceedings, and that's separate and distinct, in my opinion, from the violations that are out there, where they're, the new wetlands have been delineated. And the last time I was out there, which, to be fair, has been a while, but there were no protections around those delineated wetlands. So it'd be nice, I think, to get Herlin's, the benefit of Herlin's expertise there. And it's a huge site. It would be nice to know if there are other resources that from the state or whatnot that might be able to help us with that, managing that project.
Okay, yeah, definitely. It sounds like a great idea. So I'm making a note. Now, 48 Meadow Lane, do we have any updates on that? I don't know. 1147 Mass Ave. I believe there was an update on that one. No, there's not an update on that one. I don't know if did Sophie reach out to them at all? I'm not sure. I think that the violation was reported at around the time that she was going out.
I'm not aware that she reached out to that one.
Okay, let me make a note so I make sure that that one is followed up on. And then 314 Highland Street. I actually cannot remember what this is.
I think that's the one I sent you photos of today.
Oh, yes. Okay. That's right. Do you want to share those photos?
Let's see if I can share those photos.
Oh, it's that you have is it 317 or 314?
Hang on a second. Let me double check on the map. I think it's 314. I probably just had a typo in my email
Oh.
today.
So the right address is on the agenda.
Yeah. It'll give me just a second to get the, oh, there we go.
Oh, Richard, do you have a question?
Yeah, just to go back a step, what was the violation of 1147 Mass Ave?
So that is it was an NOI that we approved, and there's a driveway
Yep.
they actually had a garage that water was going into the garage. They sealed up the garage. They graded away from the house, but they had like a berm with the stream behind it. And they went way outside the scope of where the plan of what was approved. And then also, I actually can't remember exactly. Mary, do
Put
you?
a bunch of trees in the buffer zone.
Yes.
Okay.
And I mean, you know, from the curb, we stopped by there on a site walk one day. We just stopped at the curb. We didn't actually go into the property. It looks like they cut a lot of the vegetation that had been in the buffer zone, maybe into the BVW as well.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I mean, I remember the application and driving by, but I didn't take that close of a look.
Yeah, there's a really big, looks like maple tree that they cut down, and maybe some other. The maple tree looked like maybe it was like 3 foot diameter.
Ooh.
But it also looked like, you know, it was hollow on the inside, so, you know, probably arguably did need to come down, but should have come down with permission. And then maybe some other mature trees that, you know, 12 inches or more at chest height, maybe that came down. I mean, just looking at the cut tree stumps and logs that were on site that day that we stopped at the curb.
Thank you.
All right, so back to 314 Highland Street.
May I share?
Absolutely.
Okay, so on this parcel, and I actually reported this, I noticed it one day on the way out to walk the dogs. Yeah, the houses on the back of the parcel, there's a lot of, you know, trees and vegetation on the, you know, near side of the parcel. It looks like there's a wetland system up here on the upgradient side of the parcel. But as I was going, you know, day over day, going out there to, you know, going past to walk the dogs, I noticed there was newly paved driveway. And that it looks like, you know, they added gravel here and over here, possibly a culvert underneath. And there's a big trench system that was cut in over there. So I mean, it looks like, and you know, this is from the curb because I didn't have permission, you know, to go on the property. It looks like they put in a drainage system possibly under the driveway and a drainage system down gradient that they then filled with this gravel. As this gravel went away, the ditch went away, it was covered back over. It looks like they just put in a drainage system to drain this this wetland that's on the uphill side from there. And I looked in OpenGov and I didn't see any, you know, administrative determination or RDA or anything for this work. So I thought, you know, we ought to have an administrator go out there and, you know, contact them and find out exactly what they did and what was the nature of this, you know, drainage ditch, and determine if this is, you know, a jurisdictional wetland area.
Thank you. Do you have any other pictures that you want to show, or?
No, just I sent two to you and Herlin, the two sets. Basically the other one, because you know it's hard to see from yeah, everything's brown, right? So I just marked up what
Yeah.
I just verbally described to the commissioners to make it easier for Herlin to, you know, see what, you know, why am I looking at these photos?
Yeah.
So there we go.
Okay, yeah, and I think you had included Harlan on that email, so,
I did, yes.
okay. Thank you for sharing that. Okay, so, next we have new business. I know, Mary, you wanted to share something. I think that would go under here. The
Oh,
trail.
yeah, we can talk about it here. We can talk about it under conservation land, improvements.
Oh, yeah,
Ho-
open space and
However,
land use.
yeah.
We could do it here.
Okay, so, through the, you know, every spring, you know, I try to do something in the town to get volunteers out into our conservation areas to, you know, spruce everything up. And there's always a lot of things to be done and fewer volunteers and the amount of work that we want to have done. I had been kind of brainstorming with Chris, and with Bob about, well, gosh, how do we make this more of a not a once a year kind of event, and have more volunteers coming in to help with the trails more often. And one of the things that I had proposed to those guys, and you know, I'd like to formalize it now, is to put a and if I could share my screen, I would like to. We've got a volunteer who's ready to come and update our kiosk. Our trailhead kiosks need to have some updated maps and whatnot in there. We have a volunteer from the National Honor Society who wants to do that. And so I would actually like to put this placard in there. This, you know, basically says, you know, we need volunteers and all of the maintenance and improvements of our trail system is supported by volunteers. None of our trails would exist without the support of our volunteers. Please consider volunteering. And I have a QR code here that links to a Google form. Let's see if it'll still show that Google form. My share went away. I'll have to reshare.
No, you're still sharing, but I think it's.
It was just the old thing. Yeah, let me share again and I'll share the form this time. So the form actually you know, collects somebody's email and tell us your name, et cetera, and then it has a list of all of kind of our wish list, right? And we can edit this on the fly. Rich and I still have to figure out about the home for this because I had created this form under our old Google Drive for the Conservation Commission. But Rich is saying that maybe he doesn't own that anymore, but we can find a home for it. That's easy to shift, right? And for whoever our trail stewards are, you know, and I would like to still be in that role even after I step back from formal Conservation Commission work, and I know Bob's really active in that area. We could give them access as volunteers access to continue to update this, right? And as people do work, take one off. It's really easy to manage these forms. These forms will, when somebody submits a form, it can generate an email and it goes to a spreadsheet, directly to a spreadsheet, so that we would then be able to, you know, see who has who's reached out, be able to reach back out to them, work with them on the logistics of doing the work, et cetera. So anyway, what I'm looking for is I'm looking for permission to add that you know, contact us, you know, if you're interested in volunteering to the trailhead kiosk.
I love it.
Sounds great.
Good idea, Mary.
Yeah. Very exciting.
Thank you. So I'll move forward with that. I got a, like I said, I have a NHS volunteer who's ready to go. I'm just right now working with Bob to get the updated content that he has the actions to complete so that we can get those trailhead kiosks. We have 12 trailhead kiosks that we need to have updated. So we'll go ahead and get that implemented.
Okay, great. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Jenny.
Thanks, Mary.
On the topic of the Google Drive. So Logan didn't know that we had a Google Drive, so I showed him the Google Drive and he offered to bring it into the SharePoint. The only issue is that it's really difficult to copy directly from Google to SharePoint. You end up losing a lot of stuff. And there's no, because it's not a workspace Google Drive, there's no backend to copy it in. So I know Sophie had tried to copy it in at one point and it failed out, which is what it would do. And so Logan had offered if we could get a takeout, it's called a Google Takeout version of the Google Drive, which is basically you go to takeout.google.com and it lets you choose things that you want to take out of it, and it would be the documents. But it sounds like you might not have access to it anymore, Richard.
I thought that they had brought everything in from the Google Drive.
They did not. I know Sophie tried to just do a straight copy, but when you try to copy from Google Drive into a folder, if anything fails, it just stops it. And then you have to figure out where you stopped and then try to keep going. And I think that she ended up giving up. And
She also had Suzer was supposed to do it, and Suzer told us that they had done it, but I didn't have the bandwidth to go check their work. I didn't hear that they had.
About half of it is there, from what I can tell. But it does not appear that all of it is there.
That's a problem. I mean, that's our legal archive.
Right. So, I mean, we still have access to the Google Drive, but in order to do a takeout, we need somebody, whomever is the owner of that Google Drive would have to log in, and I could walk them through this. It's super easy. But are you not the owner of the Google Drive, Richard?
No, right now, I did just try to log on to it this afternoon, and I have a new computer, so I can't log into it without verification, and the verification email address is Sophie's lunenburgma.gov email address.
Okay, well, that's good though, because that means that Logan, I don't know if Logan has access to her email. So it might have to wait until she's back, but I'll check with the town and see what the process is for that, because they may be able to at least forward, like Suzer could go in and forward the email, and then Logan would be able to get that and put it into, and then we could put it into one folder and not have it all over the SharePoint, because right now I think there's one folder that has some things in it, but not all of it.
Yeah, because I mean, I'm looking through all of the meeting folders and they go back to 2016.
Yeah, so I know that she's brought in the important stuff,
Yeah.
but the last I heard from Sophie is that she got a lot of it in, but not all of it. So, and I know she definitely did not, there's definitely stuff that is in the Google Drive that is not in SharePoint. I have found in the past, since I've been on the commission, I've found probably at every meeting, something that's in Google Drive, almost every meeting, something that's in Google Drive that is in SharePoint. Or at least not searchable in SharePoint, or not in an obvious folder. So there's definitely stuff missing. Stuff for 564 Page Street was in Google Drive, but not in SharePoint.
There is a tool called the Microsoft Migration Manager that might be perfect for moving that stuff.
It works for Google Workspace. It does not work for, this is a personal Google Drive.
Okay.
It's not a Google Workspace account. So in order to use that tool, and like, at least in my past experience, in order to use that tool, you need access into a Google, like a real Google Workspace.
Okay.
Because you do it through an API.
Okay.
So that's just something that, I would definitely like to get, at least know everything, even if we just take the whole entire folder and put it in a folder in SharePoint called From Google. That way, when we're searching in SharePoint, those things will pop up, and maybe somebody could be going through and put like picking them out one at a time, or in, folders. But ideally, we want to have everything in one place and not have it be just a personal Google Drive. So, but it's good to know that it's Sophie's email, so we'll be able to get that figured out at some point.
Yep, yeah, it's Sophie's email, and I don't know her cell phone. The last 2 digits were 07 for a verification phone number as well. So I would
Thanks.
assume that Sophie's updated both means of
Okay.
contact.
Okay,
So, but no, I am not the owner per se of it.
okay. Okay, well, thank you. So, old business, peer review process? Do we have anything we wanna add on that? Or talk about there? The default continuations practice? I feel like we've spoken about that. Do we wanna?
I haven't progressed it.
Okay. Okay, do we have anything to update on the budget?
No, the process, Madam Chair, the process that was supposed to happen, and is probably not happening because we don't have an assistant, or at least the last I heard, we don't have an assistant anymore, is that the assistant was going to get the budget report and publish that in our share drive the 15th of every month. And so then the commissioners would have the visibility to go and review the budget and see if they had any questions. But I don't think we've seen the budget report since Maddie left.
Okay. Yeah, it looks like the last one was January that I'm seeing.
Sounds about right.
Okay, so no updates there. Encroachment issues. Grants updates or? Have anything
I
on
have an
grants?
update. I have an update on our Lunenburg Conservation Commission grant. I have filed the update. I was a little bit late in getting that in. 2 months late, but it's benign. There's no penalty for getting it in late. I'm working with our accounting department to get the first reimbursement request in. We have our consulting engineering firm has billed about $35,000 for the work of developing plans for all the way through permitting and the hearings and whatnot for Table Rock, and then also for Reno. And so I would like to get, I thought it's a nice time to go ahead and try to get our 80% reimbursement, at least on that billing. In talking to the grant administrator, the Mass, state level administrator this week, I thought I could just give them our, accountant's report that says, what we've paid and what the checks were for paying it. They actually want the images of the canceled checks. So and that has to go through Treasury. So that request has gone out, and I'll process the I was hoping to get all the reimbursement stuff done this week so that it could get reviewed and queued up at the state. Then it would, flow out to us sometime to the town sometime by the end of June. But that's probably not going to happen. And what I've been told by the grant administrators is that their office gets really busy in June and July with their own budget annual budget activities. So if I submit in the first part of June, we might not see the reimbursement until August. It's getting paid for with our copay is getting paid for with ARPA funds, and nobody's screaming at me about it, but I was just trying to be a good corporate citizen with trying to manage to get that money back to us this year. It just might not happen.
Okay.
Anyway, we would be getting back roughly $28,000 out of that 35. If
Awesome.
I'm remembering the worksheet correctly. So yeah, so that would be nice for the town to have that back in our coffers.
Yeah. Thank you so much for that update, and thank you for taking care of that.
Yeah, my pleasure.
Amazing. All right, chapters, I skipped over chapter 61 Open Gov workflow. Do we are we still working on that? I know that want to have more visibility.
That's a Sophie question. I think, so the ask that I had made of her, and this was through, I used to be our representative, at the open space, planning, committee. What happens with chapter 61, parcels is as soon as they notify the town that they're going to bring the parcel out of abatement, the town has first right of refusal, but they have to exercise that, like not make the offer, actually have, gotten agreement and made the transfer of funds within 120 days of that notification. And the town historically is not able to execute on that at all because, you have to have select board approval. You usually have to have planning approval, maybe even conservation approval in order to execute that, right? And you usually can't get through committee and boards in 60 days. But one of the problems that we have is that we just don't know. Like someone might come to us and make a proposal to, do a project or something. And because they have officially come to a board and asked for that proposal, our town council has deemed that a notification that they're taking that out of chapter 61 abatement. And so what I had asked Sophie to look at, I had asked her and Brian to look at is there a way to add a 61B attribute or 61 chapter 61 notification checkbox into our form, our intake form, so that it was really clear and everybody who had access to OpenGov, it could be something open space could then go look at, and see, do we have, and maybe even we could run reports on it too, right? If it's an attribute in OpenGov. But she said she was going to look at it. The last time she was with us, she said that she had not had a chance to look at it. Brian said he thought it was possible. But there were like 2 or 3 different ways he was brainstorming it might be possible. Yeah, it just hasn't gotten any traction yet.
Mary, in your scenario, when that person came to the meeting, does that start the clock ticking? Is that the issue?
When they submit the request, that starts the clock ticking. So like if they submitted a NOI,
Yeah.
that starts the clock ticking. The way I understand it, right? So, and we may not see it. We may at NOI, right? We may not even see it until 21 days later, right? And if our administrator hasn't had the wherewithal to notify anybody else that, hey, this looks like this is in chapter, 61, then we're losing time. We're losing time on an already excruciatingly short runway to exercise our first right of refusal. Anyway, Jenny, back to you. That's the status last as I knew it.
Thank you for that update. I'll check in with Brian and see if he has any updates because it's been on the agenda for a long time. Conservation land improvement. I guess your signs could have gone here.
Yeah.
Does anyone have any updates on conservation land improvement?
I have another update. There's a young person, Eagle Scout, or Eagle Scout candidate who's proposing to do a kiosk, trailhead kiosk for us in the Reno property. And he is really concerned that, he might have to wait until the parking area is actually done. He would like to this summer, if he can get, the authorizations through his council to go ahead and do the kiosk. I would like to tell him to go ahead and do the kiosk, right? And go ahead and install it, by the access road that's left after the logger has left the property, because it's pretty straightforward. Once we are in a position to actually build the formal parking area, it's pretty straightforward to pop one of those kiosks out of the ground with an excavator and put it in its new home. and it just would be nice to have that opportunity to put the information there now, because it is town property, and members of the public can use it if they so choose. And if we have problems there or want to direct people, in the interim to, park here or not park there or watch out, that's a muddy area, we would have, we would have information board that we could use to put those notices on.
Yeah,
You could
I think
also
that,
we could also put future site so they understand
Mm-hmm.
it's under construction, and then we can just change the verbiage.
Yeah, yeah.
good idea. Yeah, I think it would be great if you could get something in there. In the
Okay.
meantime, does anyone else have any comments on that? Okay,
Well, while we're on that topic, I don't have a formal proposal, but I have had some conversations with some other Eagle Scout candidates about small town forest. Small town forest, you guys might recall, is off of Mulpus Road. It's across the street on the upland side, across the street from the Cowdrey. We have a pretty big parcel up there. I think it's, less than 300 acres, but it's a nice sized parcel up there. And we had some logging that was done several years ago. It's growing back nicely. The staging area for the logger is still pretty flat, and we have some parking that's on that same access area. And I was talking to that prospective Eagle Scout about doing up some plans to try to make that area more accessible for families and whatnot, for picnicking, and maybe like a gravel pathway around the outside, so that it'd be a fun place to go with their kids, and have the kids like pedal around where the parents can see them, and the parents picnic or whatnot. I think it's also holds a lot of potential for allowing more outside access to people that are mobility challenged as well. And we had maybe a couple of years ago now, even talked about trying to find some sponsors for wheelchair compatible or scooter compatible picnic tables, which I also think would be really nice. But like I said, I don't have a proposal in front of me or anything. I just had an Eagle Scout kind of picking my brain about that parcel in particular. So I wanted to raise awareness there.
awesome. That sounds great. Okay, anyone else have any comments on land improvements? So Hollis Road residents, lease agreements and tenant responsibility updates. Do we have anything there? Mike, do you have anything you'd like to share?
I have not seen any, have we written letters to the tenant yet? Is that something in our court? Are we in the process of doing that after Michael Ray's presentation?
Michael Ray took that action to work with town council on that, and I think town council was going to write those letters. That's my recollection.
Okay.
Or anything maintenance wise or anything that you want to share, Mike?
I think we cleaned up the basement. We did replace the oil tank. And we did secure the electrical cover in the basement. And I spoke with Chris Ruth, saying that we were unable to get into the property to secure the light fixture. And he was going to give the electrician a call to see if he could get the electrician to put that on his list. I have not received a call since our conversation. And all I can attest to are the improvements to the pollinator habitat, which is on that same property. Over the weekend, thanks to the new the new grass trimmer, we were able to trim a lot of the brush in front of the newly painted pollinator habitat sign on Hollis Road. So it looks very visible now. And we also enlarged the entranceway where there was a lot of overgrown branches and or vegetation to the main entrance of the pollinator habitat. So that's been cleared, so automobiles can enter without their car being scratched. So there were some improvements there, as well as, you know, just the habitat in itself. There's been a constant volunteer base who's coming in and getting the habitat with the new plants that were purchased, and the lawn has been mowed, so it looks pretty fabulous right now. So anyone has a chance to come and take a look, they'll see that the habitat is blooming.
Nice.
Yeah, I definitely want to get out there and see it, how much it's changed since the last time I was there, because stuff is coming up. And I saw, I think, is her name pronounced Josie Gilchrist? I have not met her, but she's
Yeah.
hosting a walk there.
Oh, okay.
I believe it's this weekend. And I saw it came through as I think I saw it on Facebook, but that'll be a nice way. She's advertising on Facebook somewhere. Nice way to get people into the habitat. It sounds really fun. I'm gonna try to go if I can.
That'll be a nice Memorial Day festivity.
Yeah. All right, so committee reports. Do you have anything from open space, Chris?
No, they sent me an email on the 12th for a meeting on the 14th, so I missed it. I now have alarms on my phone like every other day to check the calendars and stuff because they're not giving me enough heads up on these, so.
Yeah.
So
They don't choose the date before at like the end of the
I didn't see it. I checked the calendar a few weeks before that and didn't see anything, and then I just missed it, so I now I have to check more often.
Yeah, we have kind of a similar issue with stormwater where last month we chose a date, but we did it after the recording was done, and then nobody remembers what the date was. What were you gonna say, Mary?
They used to talk about the next 5 meetings, right? But then, they can't actually put them on the town calendar until, the agenda is submitted.
Yeah, so I'm just gonna watch them carefully.
Well, and you can just ask because they'll just re-socialize it with you, right? They probably just haven't even tracked that they haven't talked about it with you around.
Yeah.
So I don't have any updates from stormwater. I know Bill gave a presentation at the town meeting. And I haven't heard how that went because we haven't had a meeting since then. Our meeting is next week. And then I don't think we have any public comment. Do you have any communications that anyone would like to share? I believe the communications are for us, right? And the public comment is for the public on agenda item 10. Okay.
Yes.
And then the next meeting is June 4th. And then I guess does anyone have anything they want to talk about before we adjourn? No? Okay, I think I'm looking for a motion to adjourn. 8:59 p.m.
So moved.
Second.
All right, move from Mary and second from Mike. All right, roll call vote. Mary Wilson,
Aye.
Mike LaRouche,
Aye.
Pete Stella,
Hi.
Richard Bursch,
Aye.
and Chris St. Germain,
Aye.
and I for myself. Meeting adjourned at 9:00 p.m.
Good night, everyone. Have a nice
everybody.
Good
holiday.
night, everybody.
Have a good night, everybody.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.